we've privatised debt to the point where a person that's 20-something years old can owe some bank hundreds of thousands of euro, many multiples of their earning potential, in a situation where they're now in negative equity and underwater to the tune of 50 or 100 grand. And at the same time, their taxes are bailing out banks who won't write down the book value of their loans properly and aren't being forced to go through bankruptcy and aren't being forced to have to go out and renegotiate the fact that, let's say, if there was person A sitting in this chair and they had a mortgage and their house is now worth half of what they paid for it 2 years ago, and that is now starting to happen. We need to recognise that fact. That debt needs to be sold off to the highest bidder. It won't sell for, let's say they owe 300 grand. They have a mortgage of 300 grand. They're never going to be able to pay it. The house is worth 150 grand now. So what I'm suggesting is amputate it. Sell the debt. It will sell to the highest bidder. It might sell for 200 grand. And the entity that then buys that mortgage for 200 grand can come along and say, I know you owe us 300 on the books, we bought the loan for a 200 book value, let's say you owe us 250, and let's renegotiate. That's how you provide real debt relief to the people that need it most, which is the people that owe the money. So, we need some radical new ideas and new approaches to the way that we manage our economy. We need to recognise that the only place that economic recovery is going to come from in Ireland, and indeed everywhere else in Europe, is not from throwing more taxpayers' money at the problem. It's going to come by stimulating innovation, risk-taking, and that spirit factor, if possible, so that more people go out there to take the plunge, that they take the risk. They take the risk. And you know what? Most of them will fail the first time. And we need to create a situation where failure is acceptable. I failed in businesses more than once. And it's a good learning exercise, and I learned from those lessons and I apply them to my next business. And you go on and you learn. And you keep trying, and more often than not, eventually you'll find success. But of everyone that tries, 20, 30, 40% will succeed. And of that 20 or 30 or 40%, 20% of those will go on and will create 200 jobs. And 20% of those will create 1,000 jobs. And 20% of those will create 10,000 jobs, and so on and so forth. If you go to Palo Alto in California, near Stanford University, there are miles and miles of companies and employers like Qualcomm and so many others. You can look at Microsoft, at Google. Businesses that didn't exist 30 years ago, in some cases 10 years ago, that employ thousands upon thousands of people, paying great salaries, providing great lifestyles and income levels to families that work in those businesses. And those businesses were founded quite often in garages next to people's homes by people that found an environment where it was worth their while taking that risk, where they were encouraged to do it. If we don't do that here, we're finished economically, because that's the only place that real economic dynamism is going to come from. It's not going to come from a hyperinflated property bubble, because that's not sustainable. It's going to come from a very broad base of diverse businesses in different sectors functioning on the basis that I've just outlined. That's where it's going to come from. Nobody in Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael or the Labour Party gets that. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because most of them have never been in business before. Maybe it's because most of them have spent a whole lifetime, a career in politics and have done nothing else. Maybe it's because most of them think that because they are in one or other political party, they have a divine right to your vote. Maybe it's because they think that you won't think. Maybe that's why. So, I come before you this evening and I'm asking in all humility for permission to serve you, to be your servant. I'm applying to you for a job. And this is my application. And on the 5th of June, you can decide who you want to hire to be your voice in Brussels. Who do you think can be the most effective voice for you, for your family, for your needs in the European Parliament? So, first of all, you have to understand, whoever you choose, whoever you hire to represent you, first of all, hire somebody. Don't let other people decide for you, go out and decide for yourself. Secondly, understand who it is, what they've done, and what it is that they can do for you in there. Understand what party group they are going to sit in the European Parliament. That's what we want to do. We will be able to do it because we should have sufficient numbers. And if you decide that I am worthy to be your servant in Brussels, know that I will go in there and I will work day and night for you in your name to bring about real democracy, transparency, accountability, but also to make sure that what goes on there affects your life in a positive and constructive way. I'm not applying to go in there for the wages. I'm not applying to go in there to use the swimming pool. I'm not applying to go in there because I particularly want to live in Brussels. I'm going in there out of a sense of duty because I want to do this for my kids and I want to do this for the people from the region where I'm from, and I want to do this for Europe because it needs to be done. And so do people like Lech Wałęsa and Guntārs Kras, the former Prime Minister of Latvia, and Jan Čarnogorský, the former Prime Minister of Slovakia, who was with Václav Havel, helped bring freedom to Czechoslovakia. People like that agree. They think it's necessary. And the time has come to do this, and we need this kind of change, and it's a positive change, and it has vision, it has an objective, and it has a factual, practical, pragmatic method to actually get something done.